Greetings, everybody. My name is John Yaglenski. I have many roles, but among them currently, I'm the Director of Communication for IEEE USA. IEEE is the world's largest technical professional society. You may know us from Wi-Fi. That's my standard line there. We set a lot of standards, but we're actually a publishing company. And in USA, we do career services along with government relations for US members. But I also run a Walt Disney World travel site called intercot.com, have for the last 26 years. I've been in radio in the past, spent 10 years in broadcasting, thus the cool microphone and mixer board sitting in front of me. And many other things. And I own my own kind of consulting company called Level Best Communications. So that's a good enough overview of me and what I do.
That was a lovely overview.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Billie.
Gudni, do you want to go next?
Billie?
Me?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, these introduction things are weird. So basically, I'm the founder and chief maverick at Maverick Wisdom, which is a consultancy where I work and do executive coaching, innovation acceleration, and strategic consulting in my own unique way. What else do I do? I try to live a really good life. People often say, oh, you're such an inspirational speaker. And I'm like, no, I'm a businesswoman. But if you inspire somebody along the way, wow, we've done a great job. John Rowan taught me that. I love John Rowan. And I can listen to him all the time. And he says, somebody asked him, are you an inspirational speaker? He goes, madam, I am a businessman. And I think I'm a businesswoman. It's just that if you happen to inspire people, you know, it's a bonus.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. My name is Gunnarsson, and I am a speaker, inspirational speaker. I'm primarily a wellness and life coach, and I've created systems and frameworks for personal transformation. I believe there's a great deal of information in the world that can help us progress and achieve. But I think in most cases, we're lacking discipline and framework. So we all are capable and we all have potential, but we don't have permission from ourselves to excel. And so that's kind of my specialty in the process, helping people allow themselves to progress, to advance.
Oh, lovely.
That's it. That's enough. That's enough.
So we're supposed to be doing let's just go off radar, okay? We're supposed to be doing an inspiration panel. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only 5 of us in the room in total. Agreed? Is that how many? 8.
6, I think, 7 altogether. I see 4 faces or 4 people and the host, and then that's us.
Okay. So there's only a few of us in the room, so we don't have to follow the rules.
No.
I like that.
Exactly.
There are no rules.
But you, Maria and Janie, stop laughing just because you were in the session before and you know how this is going down, okay? So before this session, I was sitting here and I thought, oh God, I've got to do this thing, haven't I? So I wrote a whole list of what inspires you. I asked myself that question and started scribbling stuff. And because there's only 8 of us in the room, just think how much we're going to learn if we all went round and shared that. What do you guys think? John, Gudni, do you think that's a good place to start?
No, I think it's a great place, actually.
I apologize here. For some reason, I'm having a bit of a hard time listening or hearing you, Billie. I want to see if
it's probably a hard time listening, mate. It's no problem with the hearing. It's loud and clear.
This is better.
Okay. So, Billie, I think this is a good thing. For those who didn't see my session earlier today, go back and replay it, because we talked about essentially the things that my friends brought to the table and offered as life lessons, and what caused them to get to where they are. And it's my belief that everybody has something special to give to others, and has some special advice to give to others. Originally, I started doing my talk about me, and my wife said, "Oh no, you're not going to do that." And instead, we flipped it on its head, and then I asked 20 of my best friends to explain to me what kind of things that they've been through in their life and what they've learned. So I think that's a wonderful place to start, because we all bring something to the table.
And John, listening to you, I was once going to rewrite my LinkedIn profile, okay?
Yeah.
So I thought, this is stupid. So do you know what I did? At the time I was on Facebook, I put a message up to my friends and said, okay, guys, you guys know me. One word that sums me up. And they sent me all this list of words, and I just posted it up. So it was, so let's flip the tables now.
Yes.
For the people who were in the group with me earlier, remember I said right at the beginning, just because we're on this side of the screen doesn't mean we know more or better. We're just no different than you, okay?
Correct.
So we're going to reverse engineer this, people. Everybody just play along, okay? Just play along. John, Gudni and I are going to go last.
Yes.
We're going to give you guys the floor, okay? And for laughing and knocking your head back like that, because I can see you, Maria, you're going to get to go first, you lucky, lucky girl. Come on down.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I get to go first.
What's the philosophy? You've got to be the first or you've got to be the best. It's one or the other, isn't it, in business? So go for it.
Well, what was there yesterday about being the first penguin? You either I don't know where I was, which speech I heard it from, but the first penguin, like you're either going to get food or get eaten. So I'll be the first penguin.
Okay,
so
Well, you know what Ricky Bobby said: if you aim first, you're last.
Yeah.
So
and nobody remembers second place. Okay, right. We're all going to stop now, Maria, and we're going to actually let you get a chance to get a word in edgeways. So, what inspires you?
Oh, so many things inspire me, but what pops into my head is two mantras that I live by. One, take your passion and make it happen. From the 1980 song Flashdance. And
I knew that.
Number two, yeah, you know it. And number two, go big or go home. Mm-hmm. And when those two mantras became everything that I kind of followed, all of a sudden, all of the ideas and the thoughts that I had started to come together, and I quit teaching in a position that was absolutely amazing to move to buy my grandmother's house. Mm-hmm. So many different things, and I mean, just my own personal career, going from a teacher in the system to now a wheel throwing functional potter who also teaches on the side pottery. I went from one passion and now I'm in another passion, and it's happening. I'm making it happen. So those would be my two nuggets.
And the cool thing is, you're not only doing all that, but you're giving back by teaching others then the craft that you've learned. I love that. And I think that makes everything just more valuable. If life is a series of lessons along your journey, it's great when you learn something that you can share it with others, right?
And would you say you make pots? You make pots?
Yes, I make
what's the Patrick Swayze movie? Ghost.
Oh, Ghost.
Yes.
Yes. And I actually just launched my new experience here in Saskatchewan. It's a tourism experience. So people come and stay up in this third floor attic space in my 104-year-old heritage house and create pottery in my basement. Mm-hmm. And I was just, oh yeah, come and spend the time living with me as a potter kind of thing for the weekend. And when I piloted, I actually had some people say to me, oh my God, you're an amazing teacher. And it was like, well, I did teach for 25 years, thankfully. That's still in my DNA, and that's good. But it's so, I don't know. I went big. I mean, I thought big, and I'm now living this and being able to do this. So it's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, big is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Who wants to go next? Because I can't see everybody. I can only see so many people. So if somebody would do the nice job of picking the next person, actually, we can make this even more fun, can't we? Because we're here, it's the end of the day. They can hardly kick us off. Okay. Right.
I'm going to pick somebody, Billie.
Yes, Maria, you're going to pick the next one, and the person next is going to pick the next one. That's how it's going to go down. Audience participation.
I'm going to pick Layla. Leia. How do you say your name?
It's me.
Yes. Yeah, you don't get off the hook just because you're the room host.
Oh, come on.
No. You're in the if you're in the room, be in the room.
Yeah, that's being present, right? We should be here. No, thank you. This is so exciting.
So, what inspires you, Lay?
What inspires me?
Yeah.
I think, first of all, reading the books that inspires me, like your book, like The Big Magic, that I shared with you before. I couldn't watch the session, of course, because I was in another one, but I will replay you guys, especially you, John and Billie. But what inspires me is reading these books that really can just light up my emotions and my creativity more. So I do this every morning, and I'm reading this book like for the third time already, alongside with the manifest. This is one of the things. And I think I had to, oh, there we go. Love it. I love it.
If you haven't read it, read it. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to write a book.
Yeah. And I think because I am from Brazil, I had I couldn't speak English, and then I moved to London because I wanted to do my master's in architecture, and I had to reinvent my profession since I came here because I was not feeling fulfilled anymore. And during lockdown, I started photographing, and one of the things that inspired me the most was listen to people's stories, and especially when you are in a pluricultural place, you just meet so many cultures and get inspired by people. I was working in hospitality for so long, and in retail, and all these places that you can see people from Iran, from Italy, and then from even Iceland. I met people, Scotland, and I said, why I'm not an architect anymore. I just want to shoot people and hear just hear these stories, and that really like inspires me. So as a photographer, I started doing kind of like a storytelling as well. So yeah, I think people just started inspiring me a lot, and I'm feeling much more fulfilled now. That's why I'm here as well. I just want to meet more people to get more and more inspired and inspire others as well.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
It really is beautiful.
Who are you going to pick next?
And I want to pick Jenny, but I just see her, and I saw her before, and she was just like on the chat, but I would love to hear from her as well.
What inspires you, Janie?
Thank you. What inspired me? Well, I work in the senior home as a recreational assistant. I have a lot of fun. What is the best way of getting a job and just play all day with seniors, right? But I also heard that You work there, you live there. So I make sure that I want to get out soon so that I can explore different paths on my career, and I want to facilitate expressive art workshop. And very luckily, I got a grant, so I have no excuse to hide.
None at all. None at all.
And show up. Just like Maria said that, you go big or you go home.
Excellent. Beautiful.
Yes. So I trying to learn to give myself permission to say I'm good enough. I can help other people. After all, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a facilitator. So just play.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
you
what
don't
I'm
have-
going to do.
And you don't have to be a therapist. You do just have to play.
Yep.
And with you here inspire me, I have no excuse, right? I'm just go.
Excellent.
Nice.
And Janie, who would you like to nominate as to go next?
Oh, now if I can pronounce your name, Gulan? Is that right? Correct me if I spell it wrong.
Oh,
We can't hear you. Can you speak louder, or maybe speak to the speaker, the phone?
Gulad, you've got like a Dalek voice. Would that be right? I'm hearing like a Dalek voice.
Yeah.
Not clear. Do you want to, have you got headphones or anything in? Do you need to unplug anything?
Maybe just type in the chat.
Lala, she's not on mute, is she?
No.
It sounds like there's some delay in the connection, and sometimes the audio gets jumbled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gulad, would you kindly type in what inspires you into the chat? Because there are 100 million ways of communicating.
This is
and
true.
That is one of them.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, she just said, I'm inspired by you tonight.
Lovely. Excellent, all of you. You guys are great. This will be fun. Gulad, you keep typing. One of us will keep reading it out. Well done. Now, the question is, what inspires you? What, who, how do you get inspired? And John, you're going to read it out. Otherwise, everybody will be sick of my voice.
It says kindness, love, and nature. Animals. I think all of those are inspiring, certainly.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gulad, can you share an example of kindness that you've seen recently that inspired you?
Didn't know this was going to be a typing test, did you, either? I failed typing in high school. It was the only class I failed. And what do I do every single day? Yeah, right?
So Gulad, you type your kindness inspiration story, and this time, Gudni, you read it out, because otherwise they'll say Billie came in and took over, like she always does.
We like Billie taking over.
No, Gudni, you do your 50 cents or you won't get the check. That's how it
Okay. I can take it. I can do it. She's not writing at this point, so we'll give her a couple of minutes to write more.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Gudni?
Yes.
Gudni.
Yes. You want to know what inspires me?
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Gudni, can you read it out now, darling?
Absolutely.
And then you can take over, darling.
At the swimming pool this morning, an elderly woman had forgotten her stuff, and another lady went to get her stuff for her.
That's
I think she is still writing.
Nope, that's it.
There is somebody coming as well, so she can join.
She
Thank
will
you.
we'll wait
has-
for her to.
She has
I think
no idea what she's walking into.
I think she
Thank
may.
you. Thank you for go. Okay, so Gudni,
Yes.
as us three were going to go last, and Karina's just walked into the room. Hi, Karina. How you doing,
I
darling?
agree.
Hello.
Okay, Karina, unmute yourself. We're asking everybody, because there's only a small group, the three of us decided, didn't we, guys,
Yes.
Mhm.
that we are going to...
Executive committee decided, yes.
Executive committee, who is Billie, decided we're going to ask you guys what inspires you before we start some more stuff, because then we'll bring you in after as well, okay?
Yep.
So, Karina, can you share what inspires you? If you could unmute yourself,
Just
that would
unmute.
be rock star.
There we go.
There we go, beautiful lady.
Fingers crossed. Is it working? And
Karina,
check.
not if you can hear us.
I think she's frozen.
I think she is frozen.
I
Oh,
wanna-
there she unfrozen. She's
Right.
unfrozen. Hello.
Okay, Karina, what inspired you before you freeze?
You.
And there,
Why is
yeah.
everybody frozen?
No, we're back. We
No,
can
we're
hear
back,
you.
we're back.
We hear you.
Everybody keeps freezing.
Yeah, you keep freezing for us as well, so don't worry, it's a two-way street. So let's try again. Okay. Karina, what inspires you, Karina?
You.
Us.
Hey, she's pointing at the screen, people. You're all on the screen.
So you asked the question. I think she means you.
No, I don't think so. Carry on, Karina.
Let me try the chat.
We can hear you.
I think I misread what Gula had to say. She's inspired by the fact that an elderly woman forgot her stuff this morning at the swimming pool, and
Yeah.
another old lady went to pick up that stuff for her. That's what inspires her, kindness.
Right. Yeah, I think that was the
That was the message, and I missed
moral
it.
of the story.
I misread it.
And Karina, you don't have to type. So, I mean, besides us, what inspires you in your day-to-day life? I mean, when you get up in the morning, what makes you move on with the day? What makes you want to go to work? Makes you want to do anything? What inspires you?
Just about everything. Anything can inspire me. I can read a book. I can have a conversation. I can cuddle with my dogs. I'm working on a documentary, so I'm constantly doing research on several different aspects of that, including filmmaking, because I've never made a film before. I've never worked on a film before. So there's just no end to how much I feel I need to learn. And so I need to constantly kind of rotate through the subject so I don't burn out on one and I'm not neglecting the others. So there's just this constant, oh no, I'm like learning about this. And now I also raise monarch butterflies and milkweed.
yes.
So
That's cool.
Yeah, I
That's the
remember that
picture.
last time.
Oh.
So, John or Gudni, who wants to go first?
It says, let him talk. I've talked too much already. Go. I don't know what direction you're seeing everybody, but go ahead.
I'm really inspired by how enthusiastic you people are and how inspired you are and how lively you are. For me, I would say my big inspiration in life is giving. I feel that when I give, when I have something to offer, I'm inspired. I'm also inspired by people in general, by the people that I engage with, and the warmth and the kindness, and when people are see how they radiate and how that transforms everything, that really inspires me.
Thank you so much. You were so concise.
Thank you.
Jay, Jay, you're next, darling. Unmute yourself and tell us what inspires you, babe.
Please unmute myself. Are you sure you want that?
Oh,
Yeah.
honey. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we do.
I've been talking a lot this conference. What inspires me? My brother, for one, my wife, my two younger boys, only because the older boy is out of the picture for his own reasons, but the people who love me and take me for who I am, who I love and take for who they are, and seeing that kind of love and that kind of acceptance. And I mentioned in a prior session, we have a give and give relationship.
Mhm.
And if we can have a give and give relationship, we can give that out to the world.
Yes.
And so my family really, truly is who inspires me. So
That's beautiful. You lucky, lucky girl.
I really am. Like really, really am. And I can really see it like so much more clear in the last few months. My brother and I actually just reconnected after 40 years of separation due to his mother and my mother. We share a father. The last time I saw him, he was 10 and I was 17. And we have a videotape of us dancing together to a Men at Work song called Land Down Under. And for years, neither one of us could remember why that was like one of our top favorite songs. And when we finally saw that tape together, we're like, that's the one that we danced to that I kind of sort of remember doing and you have no memory of doing. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
it's been a very inspiring year. So yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. It always never fails to amaze me the amount of courage that I'm seeing in these rooms. The way I've heard Janie say things today, I've heard Karina, I've heard all of you people. You know, it takes courage to say some of these things in a room full of people. And I'm really proud of you all. Okay. Gold star and chocolates to everybody.
I second that.
John, what inspires you, darling?
When Gudni mentioned people, really that is kind of it. I look to others for inspiration. Like I said, in that project that I did, I found the stories that were out there and was shocked at how much knowledge there is. I mean, my wife jokes about it that I go to the grocery store and I can spend 30 minutes talking to the person bagging the groceries or whatever, or somebody selling a stove in the hardware department. I really do. I have a genuine interest for people. I love talking. I love getting to the bottom of things, finding out what drives people. And in turn, I think that kind of cranks the gears here and gets me moving as well. So I think where a couple of people actually said you all, I think that is actually a genuine sentiment that it's other people that inspire them and, in turn, push them to lead better lives or turn them into people that are creatives that create wonderful work that in turn then keeps the cycle going. It's like the great circle of life. And no, I'm not going to sing the song.
Oh, go on. And you've got the mic.
I know. Right?
And they haven't banned us from drinking. So
I know, well, I've got some water here, so that'll work, but the circle of life.
Now I'm going to drink.
That's such a beautiful concept itself, isn't it?
It is really. I mean, but it's true if you think about it. We all push each other to be better people. I think so. Oh, there you go. Somebody's drinking.
Somebody's drinking. This is actually just squash. It's not beer.
Yeah, I swear this isn't vodka.
Mine are my desk water because I'm going to platelets after this.
Okay.
Ah, very good.
the reason we started doing this is because I was like thinking, oh my God, what are we doing? And I planned all the other sessions, and this was an open panel. And anybody who knows me knows there's no such thing as open. It just means that everybody's in the room. So before, just like I've deliberately, remember, Karina, you were saying earlier on, you leave white space for spontaneity. So this year, what I do is I've deliberately left gaps. So I've been sitting here reading. I think you will love this, Gurney, if you haven't already read it. It's bloody brilliant, right? So I went, you know what, I need to give my brain a rest from all this. I need to just go and do a little bit of self-actualization and my own development.
Billie, that's fantastic advice right there about the negative spaces, because in design, right, what you leave out is as important as what you put in, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to have that space around in order to make things effective. So I think that's a great point.
Which is what Karina and I were talking about in the
Yes, it's so
So
solid.
so I just started scribbling because I scribble and I draw. What inspires you? So I'm just going to read you my list. And once I've read the list, I think there'll be enough there to keep us chatting for a few hours on this, with you guys giving me your examples, okay?
All right.
The freewheeling. What inspires me? Underdogs are succeeding in the face of adversity. Non-believers and naysayers inspire me. You know, the experience of working, a bit like you were saying, Janie, the experience of working in palliative. So for those of you who don't know me, I used to be a palliative care nurse in London. I was a children's nurse lecturer. Now I do research and leadership and management and all that kind of stuff. But experience of working in palliative care for kids and looking after them, helping some of them make it to go into their boxes, let's call it that. Some weren't getting a shot at life, and that made me want to live even more fully than I was already living, if that made sense. I remember jumping out of an aeroplane to raise money for the hospice, and I was scared shitless.
Oh God, I could never do that.
And I, do you know what? That's what I thought, until I reminded myself of every kid who would never be able to do that. So I did it for them. So they inspired me. What else inspires me is anybody ordinary who's smart enough, courageous enough, and brave enough to put X in front of it. Because seriously, the only difference really between ordinary and extraordinary are the words EX. That's all it is. You get your pen out, put it in front, and you're extraordinary, aren't you? What else? Stories and movies of humans who've done the impossible. You know, I love anything from the work of Helen Keller to the Shawshank Redemption. I watch a lot of movies about people who should never have made it in those rooms. Like, I'm so excited. Tuesday night, I'm going to watch Dumb Money. I'm so fucking excited about watching Dumb Money. Because some poor kid is going to make a lot of other not so well off people be affluent, and the blooming people who usually keep all the money ain't going to get jack. Isn't that about time some of that shit happened? What else? Art, poetry, travel, making sure I'm leaving white space for inspiration to flow into life. Experimenting, kindness, courage. I scribbled those all down in about 5 minutes. They were mine. Now, let's talk about this, people. Add some more depth to what you guys were saying, because I've spoken enough.
That's a big list. I mean,
I haven't even started.
I know. Well, I mean, the reality is, I think all of us could probably do that given the chance. And had I thought about it for more than 2 seconds, and you know, I should have known Maxim would just throw us in a room all together, because that's what Maxim does. But you know what? Some of the best conversations come out of that too.
Exactly. So go on, Maria, go for it.
Another thing that inspires me that I was thinking of as we're going through, and I call them shoulder taps. And it's moments that I don't even kind of really understand why it happened. I'll give an example. So I was driving home from teaching. It was a 45-minute drive. And one of the things that had come up in a student survey was that they really wish that they had a student lounge. Every student wants a student lounge. And I was driving, and I mean, I had no thought in this. It wasn't whatever. But all of a sudden I went, hold on, I'm teaching biology 20 and 30. I am an art teacher. And there's not space up by the front of the school or up by the front doors. Why don't we turn that into a student lounge? But let's see if I can apply for a grant and make a student lounge based on the biology 30 curriculum and make it human systems. And so I did, we got it. And it was literally just a one little comment. And we had a bowel bowl where we carved the bowels in. There was a rib cage. We made like the top ceiling was showing with zip ties, probably about 6,000 zip ties showing a rare eye disease. And so this student lounge, honestly, it was just a shoulder tap. As I was driving, I thought, student lounge, I'm teaching biology, art, and we created it that year. And it was just listening to what it was coming. So kind of that comment, Billie, you had talked about in Big Magic, that there's all these ideas floating around, and it's and whether you grab it or not. And I've called them shoulder taps in my world. And yeah, that's kind of one of those, I can't believe I just thought that up, and yeah, it was there. I grabbed it.
I think it's lovely, and I love the way you word it as a shoulder tap. So it's a shoulder tap to yourself. Oh, way to go, girlfriend.
Yeah, that's a good one. I
Mm.
like it.
I really.
I love too that you said, you know, you were just driving in the car and it came to you. And I think some of the best ideas are those that are kind of hidden somewhere in the back of your brain, and they come to you and it's like, that's it. But you've had them there. They've kind of been sneaking up on you. And then, like you said, all of a sudden, hello, I'm back here, you know.
It also has quite a lot to do with how open you are, how much energy there's allocated in the process. Because if you're not energized, then whatever comes in just doesn't get the energy to be created, visualized, and then projected. So that right moment of when the energy is there, then the fire is lit, and then that's where you do it.
I think that's really excellently put, actually, Gudni, because we all have great ideas, and some of them get parked and some of them never get done. And I always remember reading about, that thing where you say somebody has an idea, something comes out on the market and somebody goes, oh, I had that idea years ago. I wish I'd done something with it.
Right. Well, I have this saying, to will is to act. Not to hope or to long or to wish or to think, but to will. And if you're not taking action, you actually don't want what you think you want. Yes. So it's an interesting process to have the courage to step into it and actually the ability to make it happen. And it's about energy. When we have energy, when we take care of ourselves, when we really love and inspire each other and ourselves at the same time, we're infused. And that's where the energy comes from to make these things happen. So, we are basically transformers, but if there's no source, no light, nothing inspiring us, nothing's going to happen. So how do we get to a place where we are constantly invigorated by life, by love, by energy? And I can tell you, right here, being with you people, and it's infectious how inspired you are and how interested you are in life and in things. Think about how much value there is in people that are interested and interesting, and how we sort of evoke this process with each other. I'm sitting here and I'm going, wow, these people are so interested in life.
Yeah.
How much beauty is in that?
Exactly. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I think one of my personal things is, I think it's really infectious how we choose to live.
Yes.
vitality is infectious. We were talking about this in the previous section. Like, we just moved into this house, and the first thing that goes on my wall, and I will read it out to you because it's the first thing that gets put up. He remarked, "We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's own attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." For anybody who doesn't know where that came from, it's Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl. I
Okay?
remember that.
First thing that goes up, because you have to remind yourself how you are present in a space is going to affect that space. Sorry, John.
No, I was going to say how you, obviously the choice we have to change our perspective. And that's really the only thing that we can change in our lives is our perspective. But that perspective is solely based on how we perceive ourselves.
Exactly.
So if we want ourselves, like ourselves, love ourselves, then that's what we transmit. So all of these people that are expressing their interest and their enthusiasm are saying they're in love with life. They are love. And that is profound. Really profound.
I think it's part of getting yourself to a place where you surround yourself with the right sort of things, whether it be where I live, the people I interact with, the job I go to, the hobbies I take on. And if you can generally make them all full of positivity and positive energy, you can feed off of that and then radiate it back to the world. I really, I will say one of the biggest changes I made ever was, Billie, you said you moved about 5 years ago. I moved from the Northeast United States, from the rat race to an island in South Carolina. And that has had more of an impact on me than anything else in my life. And part of the reason I did that, by the way, was because I went through a horrific moment in my life where I had thyroid cancer. And it really, kind of traumatic life experiences, you can take them one of two ways, right? You can dwell in the negativity, or you can turn it into something positive. I think to what you said about, just a minute ago, Billie, that's what you can choose to do. You have in that moment a choice to make, and I chose to change my life for the better, and that included putting myself in a better place.
Yeah.
To be happier. So
I think that's a lovely thing to say. And also, first of all, it's accepting that maybe the place I'm in isn't the right place for me. The other thing I would add to that is that even though you surround, so I'm not disagreeing with what you said, I'm just going to add a different lens to it.
That's fine.
Sometimes I find that I come across people who are the exact opposite to me.
That's fine. Yeah.
And what I find is sometimes, the people who need us the most are usually the people who, sometimes the people who are hardest to help are the people who need us the most. And so one of the things I try to do is be aware that I might meet somebody who everything's going wrong in their life. I don't know their story. And to give them the grace to say, okay, from where I'm standing, it looks like you're being negative because I'm always so upbeat. But I'm not walking their path. I'm not walking in their shoes. I have no idea what they experienced. And it's just being aware. I just often remind myself, sometimes the horriblest person in the room is probably the person who may need me the most. And it's going to be, well, it's much easier to gravitate to the person who's bouncy and upbeat and happy and da-da-da-da-da. But it's that other person who sometimes needs us. And I'm just saying, inspiration.
I want to inject something. My father, he said to me, show me your friends and I'll tell you your wit. And what he was referring to is that the company I keep reveals me. But that is one aspect of how I nourish and restore But then in order to be able to go out there and to see everyone, especially those that are in need, to see them and to see them and understand what they're going up against. But it really is important. And when we make ourselves sick, because we make ourselves sick, if we want to be responsible, then we are causing illness in our life, consciously or unconsciously. And I'm not blaming anyone for that. I'm just saying that we create the circumstances that we live in. And the only way, if you need to want to heal, you have to move out of the place that you made yourself unwell in and to another place where you want to flourish and be inspired. And so I take my hat off, because most people are addicted to the spaces that made them unwell.
Right.
And one of the spaces in today's world is technology and constantly being connected. And one way to do it is, soon as technology started, I mean, it's, technology is a tool for me to use to get what I want out of it. There are times when, my son will say, you're so hard to get hold of. I went, no, I just don't want to be notified of everything every time. I choose not to be on social media. I choose not, because it doesn't enrich my life.
Okay.
Which is very, very empowering. Again, choice is your word. The way you use the word, I choose. Technology isn't making us self-sick. Absence is an addiction. And we can choose anything to be absent. But we can also choose to be present. Yes. And kind and compassionate and nurturing to our environment and inspired by people. And I think that's really what this dialogue is about, and that responsibility that we bear for not holding others or anything else accountable for how we feel or don't feel.
Yeah, and I think you've said something really beautiful there about the accountability and responsibility. I remember reading once. I read a lot, can you tell?
Yes.
I remember reading, there was this, I think it was in a book called Action-Centered Leadership. And there was this conversation. I'm going to share this with you all because it just rocked my world. This company had this consultant come in, and this consultant came in and he told this story. And he got everybody to get a Post-it note. And if you want to do this afterwards, feel free. But he said, get a Post-it note and imagine that you have 100 shares. You are a company. So Billie, Carn is a company, and there's 100 shares, okay? And they wanted you to, on that Post-it note, they wanted you to write down how many shares of you were owned by whom. So people were saying, so my husband owns X amount of shares, my children own this amount of shares. Yeah. And then they had to look at how many shares they had for themselves. And then what he said is, for one night and one night alone, you can buy back as many of your shares as you would like for no money. The next day, somebody came back in, and I think it was some lady came back in, and she said she went home and she said, right, she told them what had happened in this session. And she said, I'm buying back my shares, right? And she said, you are only getting this percentage of me, because what she'd realized was by the time she divvied out all her shares, she didn't have any for herself. Right. So that really inspired me. So I often use that story to say, when people say they're running around like blue-ass flies trying to do this, this, and this, that in some ways, Karina, and for everybody else who's talked about white space, you, John, it's that, it's that white space is for being. To be the best version of me. But I really think that we shouldn't let somebody own all our shares. I mean, if we're not the CEO of our own life, we got bigger problems than I can help you guys with.
But you said it. You said we should not let somebody hold all the shares. So it's still in our hands. And the question is, are we willing to step into that responsibility to be the captains or stewards of our own ship?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Everybody say yes.
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 I was actually, we're talking about these things and about leadership and how we run our lives. And earlier, Maxim came into the room and he was talking about sleep, or basically, I think he was referring to sleep deprivation. And I wasn't able to bring it up at the time, but sleep is really overrated. And I want to, because we're speaking of inspiration and energy and source, sleep is overrated, but gratitude is not. So when we feel grateful, then we are connected to source. We are being restored. We rest. We're being rejuvenated, and we're being what's charged. So think about that. The moment you feel gratitude in your heart, then you're online and you're being connected and rejuvenated, restored. So speaking of inspiration, gratitude is something that I did not want to leave out of the equation. And when we take that to heart, then we have so much more energy, so much more.
It's I agree with you. I think it's fundamental. I was saying to you, I took some time out and I was reading this chapter, and the chapter I was reading was about Anne Frank. And, you know, somebody saying to her, you know, how can you be so happy in this situation? And she was saying, because I look at people who are in a lot worse situation than me. Yes. So gratitude often gives us perspective. I saw this, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm really big into Bollywood movies, okay? There's this movie called Thank God.
Right, okay.
And there's this sketch in there, okay? And I've used it a few times, so I know it hit a nerve. And it's about a guy, the synopsis is the guy dies and he's in that waiting room and he tells people about what he's done, and if they vote him with, he's got 2 containers, one's filling with black balls, one's filling with white balls, and, you know, for his actions. And it's going to be an outcome, or whether he goes up or down, whichever way you want to look at it, whatever you believe in. And so God apparently puts up this whiteboard and he draws a dot on it. And he says to the guy, "What do you see?" And he says, "Oh, I see a black dot." He goes, "That's the problem with you guys. You missed the whole whiteboard, which is all the great things that are happening in your life. But you're focusing on the one black dot on that wall." And I thought that was just brilliant. And I find myself pulling myself up, like, you know, if something's like not gone as great, you're like, that didn't work out quite well. But hang on a minute, everything else is working out.
Right.
You know? I think it was a really good analogy, because I can never. You know, there was the life before I saw that sketch in that movie, right, and there's a life after, and there's no going back. You can't unknow it anymore.
Right. Well, it's the basic question: is it a blessing or is it a curse?
Yeah. Guys, just want to let you know that we reached the time, but
I'm just going to say one thing, just because you brought it up just a second ago. Gratitude is very important, and, you know, and realizing that in the midst of everything going wrong, that there is so much going right in your life. Yes. And that was, you know, when you go through cancer or whatever, that is the thing that keeps you going. It's all of this out there. It's not the one thing that you're dealing with. It's everybody else in your life. And by the way, those who reached out during that time and who kept communicating with me were amazing. So all I can say is, you talked about reaching out to a friend in need or whatever, sometimes finding the person in the room that's in the corner to talk to, do that. And in turn, you'll probably get their gratitude.
It's interesting. Wow. And thinking about life from those terms, both of you have pointed out that to sort of shine our light on the people in need. And not that we're looking for them, but when we see that, then to give and to be generous. I think that's really what makes inspiration beautiful.
And I would like to say, well, Karina, I just saw your chat about how do you, each of you, connect to gratitude in your heart, not just in your mind. But it all starts with love, doesn't it, darling? I think that's the function of the heart, and pumping. And I think kind of like seeing the love everywhere. It's like, you know, Jay started it beautifully. She started saying, she was explaining about the gratitude she felt for people accepting her just the way she is. I actually think that's one of the most beautifulest gifts a human being can give another human. To be totally loved for who you are, just the way you are. right? Not thinner, not more beautiful, not more famous, not more rich, not more like my ex-girlfriend, not more, you know, all those things, okay?
Yeah.
It's really powerful to be accept. I think I can think of it in my life like, you know, the biggest gift anybody's ever given me, just accepting me the way I was, because there was an awful lot of people who didn't, and that's all you need to know. So thank you very much. I will see you in the bar after I've had dinner.
I want to add one thing to this. Thank you
Go
so
for it.
much. One thing, because gratitude isn't a thought. It's not a gesture. It's a feeling. And unless you're feeling grateful, you're not connected. So feel gratitude. And you can only feel gratitude in your heart. Thank you very much.